Hey you guys, happy Monday. Tomorrow I will be having surgery, so I will not be able to put out as much content over the next week or so, but as soon as I'm better, I will be back to my regular schedule. Anyways, today we're going to talk about Kail Lowry. She was recently on a podcast. It's called the Viall Files, and I've not heard of this podcast, but the Viall Files is hosted by former Bachelor Nick Viall. Don't know who that is either because I'm not much of a Bachelor watcher. But however, from my understanding after listening to the podcast, he was a bachelor some years ago and now he has this podcast. Of course, while on the podcast, they talked about what everyone is recently talking about, and that is the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial that is going on right now, that is literally taking everything that I can to not just sit and watch it all day, every day. Like, I have to get work done, but it's so hard. Every time I have like a few minutes, I like check in to see what's going on. So of course, that's what they talked about on the podcast. Now, he had Kail Lowry on his podcast, right? And I'm kind of shocked that he was not aware that she had just came out of a lawsuit. He had no idea, because when they brought up the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard lawsuit, she brought up the fact that she had just gotten out of a lawsuit as well, out of a defamation lawsuit, and he seemed kind of surprised. He was like, wow, really? You had? And she said yes, and she told him, she said, I lost, and she said, well, I didn't lose, but it was dismissed. So then they go into a conversation of kind of, he asked her, who did she sue? She tells him that she sued her co-star. And she made a comment. She said, it was a waste of $200,000, but you live and you learn. That's wild, you guys. That is a lot of money. $200,000, and their trial lasted maybe 8 months or so. I'm not exactly sure, but I don't think it was even a year that it lasted. And she spent over $200,000 on this lawsuit, and now she actually will have to pay for Briana's fees as well. And Briana says she spent around $125,000. So this is going to cost Kail over $300,000 when it's all said and done. Now, at one point, he did ask her if she regretted it, spending all of that money and then it getting dismissed. And Kail responded by saying, I actually don't regret it because I stood up for myself. I felt like I was taking a lot from Briana, so I stood up for myself. So ultimately, if nothing else, that's what I got out of it. Which I can understand what she's saying. But to be quite honest, I understand why she did it. She thinks Briana is defaming her. She wanted to file this lawsuit, and even though she didn't win, she says, well, I stood up for myself. So I let everyone know that I'm not going to take someone talking about me on social media. And according to Kail, she lied. She's like, I will take a lot, but she straight up lied, so I defended myself, and at least that's what I can say is I stood up for myself, right? Unfortunately, after it was dismissed, Briana really clowned her, like so hard. Like, if you thought filing this lawsuit against Briana was going to shut her up, once it was dismissed, she went harder than she's ever went for Kail Lowry, in my opinion anyways. She was calling Kail a clown. She was going live on Instagram or posting little stories on Instagram. That Rihanna song, "Be Better Have My Money." So I don't know. I think it actually kind of bit her in the butt, to be quite honest, when it was dismissed. So on the podcast, Kail did say that she felt like if the lawsuit would have been in any other state outside of Florida, that maybe she would have had a better chance. She said that she believes having to file in Florida had a lot to do with it being dismissed, and that was due in part by the anti-SLAPP motion. The anti-SLAPP motion was granted, and basically what that means is in Florida, the winning party is entitled to recover the attorney fees and any costs they had to put towards this lawsuit from the losing party. Also, anti-SLAPP is basically where you're basically alleging that someone is suing you just to shut you up. That you're not really defaming them. They're a public party. You're not defaming them, but they want to just shut you up. So essentially, they are interfering with your freedom of speech. And that's what Briana said. Briana's like, I didn't defame her, and I have freedom of speech. She's a public figure. I can say what I want to say. I had no malicious intent. What I said, I was actually told, so I had no reason to believe that it wasn't true. And I do believe Briana there. Like, I do feel like I lean towards Kail most of the time when it comes between Briana and Kail. But in this situation, Briana was telling the truth. She was told this information by Chris Lopez, Kail's baby daddy. Chris Lopez even said, yes, I told Briana these things. So it wasn't like she just made this information up and jumped online to spread it out to everyone. She was actually told this information. On the podcast, Kail said, I personally think that the state of Florida, I had to sue her in that state where she lives. They just look at things very differently. But the judge didn't think that I had proved Briana acted in malicious intent and that she purposely spread the rumors and lies. My case didn't end up going to a jury trial because Briana's lawyers filed an anti-slap motion, which is essentially her saying that she didn't defame me, that I'm trying to silence her freedom of speech. Not all states recognize the anti-slaps in the same way or even have that. Kail later revealed that she had considered suing other people in the past and that her attorneys would not allow that they told her, like, I don't know, you don't want to do that. She said, I brought up defamation to my attorneys multiple times and they have always told me, no, no, no. I brought up this one against my castmate Briana and they were like, yes, we got this. And I lost. Well, I didn't lose. It was dismissed, but it's the same thing. I essentially lost. Yeah, I guess you could say. Still, Kail says that she is glad that she sued Briana because it was the principle behind it for her to stand up for herself, even though it cost her a fortune and it will cost her even more than what she's already put out for it because she's got to pay for Briana's legal fees. She is happy that she went forward with the lawsuit. She said, that was the takeaway from my lawsuit. It was the principle. I'm standing up for myself, so I could care less about the dollar. I could care less about the amount. I'm going to stand up for what's not true. You're not going to spread this about me. I'm glad she could say that, like, to hear Kail say, like, it was about the principle. I don't care about the dollar. I don't care about the amount. Lets me know that she's got a lot more money than I do, right? If I spend $200,000 on a lawsuit and I lose, oh no, I'm definitely going to regret it. Forget the principle. I regret it because now I'm bankrupt. You know what I'm saying? But Kail's like, no, I don't care. Whatever it was going to cost me, at least she could see that I'm going to stand up for myself. But like I said, at the end of the day, when it was dismissed, Briana clowned Kail more than she ever had, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm shocked, so shocked to find out that she spent over $200,000 on this lawsuit because I've heard of other lawsuits. I've been in one and it didn't cost that much. So I'm shocked to hear that it cost over $200,000, which I do know that it depends on, you know, the attorney fees, how much they charge, how much paperwork is filed, and things such as that. There's so many things that are at play here, and I have to imagine Kail probably hired a rather pricey attorney. I'm gonna assume that much, but yeah, I'm shocked that she spent that much. I'm shocked that she don't regret it. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure you give this video a huge thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and do me a huge favor, and whenever you have time, just go watch an extra video or two to help me out while I recover from this surgery. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.